What is up, Beast Mode moms and dads? It's Christian father, husband, coach, and autism advocate, your host, Trey Turner. Welcome to the Superhero Parent Pod, a voice for the voiceless and a lending ear for all those who feel like they're struggling alone. This is the safe place where each week we go behind the scenes and enter into a world that most people have no clue even exists. So welcome, sit back, and enjoy the untold stories now told of strengths, struggles, blessings, and one never-ending journey of parenting a child with special needs. What is up, Beast Mode moms and dads? Welcome to episode 3, interview number 2, with a very special woman from my hometown of Bedford, Kentucky, Trimble County, Kentucky. Miss Amberly Yates is here with us. Welcome to the show, Amberly.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you. And so Amberly was 3 or 4 years older than me in high school. We kind of grew up in the same town. Families knew each other. Amberly was always known as the sports family. Their last name was well known in the world of Trimble County sports, and was all athletes that I remember. But then Amberly became a client of mine back in 2021. And from there, learned that we both had something in common with raising a child with special needs. And so, Amberly, you are engaged currently?
Yes.
That's right. And between the two of you, you have how many children?
We have 4 between us.
And they are ages?
So Mariah is 15, Alex is 14, Brady is 11, and Bradley Jane is 10.
Gotcha. And who is the superhero that we will be showcasing, talking about today?
That would be Alex.
And also known to the hometown people
as AP. So
AP.
Her name is Alexandria Page, and she goes by AP for short quite a bit.
Yeah, she's pretty famous back home. I know my dad does the golf scramble, and I think my mom did or knew a lot of people that y'all just had a walk recently, I believe, as well.
Yeah, we have another one coming up, actually. This will be let's see, she's 14. This will be our 13th year.
Awesome. And so we'll get into all that later, but we'll jump right into it. The world of raising a child with special needs does not have structure, and the podcast, we treat it the same. We've got a little bit of structure, but I like to hear the stories and any of the blessings along the way. If we get stuck on, feel free to just go down that path. So obviously with diagnosis of autism compared to Down syndrome, much different story. We found out right at the age of 3 of Isaiah's official diagnosis. But for you, when was that first awakening, the first notification during your pregnancy, and how did that story play out?
So when I was pregnant with my first daughter, Alex, we found out she was a girl at 20 weeks. And back then, that was when you found out, obviously, what the sex of the baby was if you wanted to. And then they also did blood tests for any type of chromosomal abnormality. And we chose to do that because our doctor was very big on, it's good if you can
Find out
early and, you can research and learn all about it. And there's just so many things that go through your mind and your heart. And it's good if you can get all that out ahead of time. So we chose to do that. So we had that test done and everything came back negative. So that nothing was alarming during that test to make us think otherwise. At 31 weeks, I started having contractions, which were regular, and we ended up going to the emergency room. And that's when they found out that Alex had extra fluid around her, which was causing the contractions. And it was because of the amount of fluid, it was pushing me into early labor. So they sent us to my normal OBGYN, who then quickly turned us over to maternal fetal medicine because she said that the baby had something called duodenal atresia, which is blockage just below the stomach, and that causes them oftentimes to quit swallowing the amniotic fluid. So the amniotic fluid then builds around the baby. And so we had a choice. Basically, we didn't have a choice in the first part, which was they had to get the excess fluid off from around her so that we didn't have a baby at 33 weeks. No,
Right.
It's at 31 weeks. I'm sorry, 32 weeks, I guess, by the time we went there. So she said, look, I got to take this fluid off anyway. The only way to know for sure what's going on is we can send all of the amniotic fluid off and have her tested. But through an ultrasound with maternal fetal medicine, she's had markers for Down syndrome. So they found that she had the excess fluid around her. They found that one big toe, like her big toe, stuck out a little farther than the rest of her toes. They couldn't tell if she had a nasal bone, and they thought that she might have a heart condition, but they couldn't see during the ultrasound. And so when maternal fetal medicine said, these are all markers for Down syndrome, I sat right up on the table and said, I already had that test done. We had
Yeah.
that test at 20 weeks. And she said, well, it's only 70% effective. So the only way to know for sure was through an amnio. So we did that. We found out a week later. So at 33 weeks, they confirmed that she had Down syndrome. And the type of Down syndrome she has is called trisomy 21. And then she was born 3 weeks later. So it was a whirlwind. A lot of people find out very early in their pregnancy. A
You
lot of
found out
people
right
find out.
before.
We found out right before. Now, to me, that was a blessing.
You didn't have to worry or stress about it as much.
No, and 2 of those weeks I'll say were very, very difficult, those first 2 weeks. And then the 3rd week things kind of started to turn around, and then we got to meet her. So
So when the type that she has, say that for me one more time, whatever 21.
trisomy 21.
So how many different types is it a broad spectrum like autism and Asperger's, or is there just a few different types of the Down syndrome, or
I would say there's probably 3 main, which is trisomy 21, trisomy 18, and trisomy 13. So trisomy 21, the number at the end of the trisomy tells you which chromosome number they have extra. So we have
gotcha.
2 chromosomes of each number. She has 3 on the 21st. And then 3 on the 18th would be trisomy 18.
Gotcha.
So trisomy 13, I think, it's a very different prognosis. And there's a lot more difficulty that comes along with that. And then 18 seems to be kind of the middle step, and then trisomy 21.
Gotcha. So 13 is the most severe, so to speak.
Severe, and that I'm not really even sure what the life expectancy is, to be honest with you. On
Okay. So it's that serious.
It's
That
that serious. And then
gotcha.
trisomy 18 is better with regards to that. I'm not sure of all of the struggles there. Really, my only interaction that I have with others, even with Down syndrome, have been trisomy 21, just like us.
Gotcha. And so when you found out, what was that? I'm sure there was shock. And what was that initial reaction before you had her? Did you go on a drive? Did you curse God? Did you write a poem? All the above, or how long did it take you to go from complete shock to okay, what's the next steps that
I'm
we have to
so
do
glad you
to?
asked that question. I'm so glad. So, now I was raised in church, and I'm a believer, and I thought I was a planner. I was a planner. I didn't think I had my life planned,
But you're not
and
now.
I thought that it was my plan because it was working out as though I had everything planned. And then this is a time in my life where I realized that no, I just had been very fortunate, and I happened to be on God's plan was the same as mine until I was 27.
Until it
And
wasn't.
then I found out about Alex. So the initial response, I would say, between her dad and I was different. Of course, my initial response, I should say his first, is he turned into a puddle, and he won't mind me telling you that. He turned into a puddle on the floor. And if you know Chris, that's not typically a reaction that you would get out of him. But
Yeah.
it crushed him. For me, I was mad. And I had a wonderful doctor who told me that everything was going to be okay. I did not believe her. My initial thoughts, if I speak completely raw, were that's easy for you to say.
Yeah. This was your
When
OBGYN?
this was maternal fetal medicine.
Okay.
So, yeah. But she said, everything's going to be okay. And what I wanted to say was, how can you say that? Like,
Yeah.
your life is probably perfect. You're smart, and you're successful, and your kids are probably perfect, and they'll never have to work at anything, or, just probably have life handed to them on a platter. And you want to tell me that it's okay? So first was anger for me towards her when it really wasn't her fault at all.
Yeah.
And we remain friends from a distance. She doesn't live around here anymore, but I think she did a really good job. But she was very just factual and blunt and positive. There's no good way or easy
Yeah.
way to say those words to somebody.
Yeah.
So we left. We actually had a baby shower a couple days later, and I was still very angry. So for 2 weeks, I really went through something I like to say is probably like mourning,
Yep.
because I felt like I was mourning the child I thought I was supposed to
Yes.
have, which was
That's
she was
exactly what I
supposed
was
to
gonna.
be an athlete. Like you said, she was going to do this and going to do that. And then I was asking God, like, why would you do this to me? I felt like I did everything right. I was nice to people. I didn't make fun of people. I didn't do drugs. I didn't. Why would you do this? I mean, I just was so bad. I don't know of another way to put it. And then something happened after those 2 weeks of asking God why. It turned into how. How am I supposed? You must believe in me
Yeah.
if you're going to give me a child like this. And then,
Yeah.
we researched Down syndrome during those 2 weeks and quickly saw, especially 14 years ago, which doesn't sound like that long, but
Yeah.
everything that we read, we felt like was negative, and it was on the very extreme side of, the statistics then were 93% of the time in 2010, 93% of the time a baby was diagnosed with Down syndrome before it was born, it was aborted.
93.
93% of the time the baby was aborted.
That's probably like 100 now.
Well, no, I think, those numbers have gone down. They don't abort
Oh,
the baby. People are keeping them. So,
I would assume they gotten worse.
yeah, no, it's gotten better, and I think what's happening is, more people back in the day, people put these kids in institutions. They didn't take them out in public. They didn't, and
They
I
treated
hate
them as they
that.
just weren't even there really.
Yeah, they just didn't even. I think that's what they told them to do. It's not that necessarily the parents' fault, maybe, but because they just didn't know. But we have so many more resources now, and
Yeah.
people really are. I mean, people treat, I feel like, your children the way you treat your children.
Yeah.
If you have expectations and the way you treat them, and if you can show the world what they're capable of in their own way, they'll follow that.
Yeah.
And so, I'm just very thankful, and I was very lucky she was our first child. So any milestone that we were really behind on, I
Yeah.
didn't get caught up in all of that because I didn't necessarily know the difference. Does that
Yeah,
make sense?
you didn't have anything to compare it to.
No, I didn't. And I think people that have kids with Down syndrome, as their last child, I feel like it might be harder on them, because
Yeah.
they're like, why can't you do this yet? Or, but when we had Bradley Jane, I would say, like, how did she know how to do that?
Yeah.
I hadn't even showed her that yet.
Yeah. We're going through that now with my daughter. She's 5, Isaiah's 7, but same scenario. We wasn't, and we're still not, but we wasn't as concerned because we just thought we didn't have anything to compare it to. But now Lyra Grace is like doing stuff. And I'm like, I didn't teach you that. Like, how'd you just, you just learn, and so I'm glad ours did the same thing. I think I would have stressed a lot more if it had been the other way around.
I agree. I think I would have too.
And so there's a 4-year difference.
There is, right at 4 years,
And
almost, yes, 3 years and 10 months or something.
And so what's that relationship like? Is she thinks she's gotta be your caretaker? Is, jealousy? Is there, comparison? I know Larry Grace gets really jealous because we compliment Isaiah, so much on just such little things, normal stuff, and, it can create which she thinks she's supposed to take care of him, but it can create, a little bit of jealousy and bitterness just because of how over the top you are about when they do something that's typical or normal of another child.
Right. So I feel like it's gone through different stages. Originally, we were in a lot of therapy sessions when Bradley Jane was small. And so I was always concerned that she would feel like I wasn't spending as much time with her, or I
Yeah.
wasn't as proud of her as I was Alex,
Yeah.
because we were always taking Alex somewhere. But that gave me some one on one time with Bradley Jane as well, because Alex would be with the therapist for an hour, and Bradley Jane and I would hang out in the lobby and, spend some time together. Now, over time, I knew there would come a day when Bradley Jane would kind of start to go around Alex and start doing things that she wasn't maybe able to do at that same stage. And I didn't really know what that was
Yep.
going to be like. There have been some hard times with that, but Bradley Jane does a really good job of saying things like, "Hey, mama, watch. Alex and I are going to race. Watch us run, and she'll win with
Yeah.
me."
Yeah.
And then she lets Alex win and then really makes a big deal out of it. So I think that she's at the age now where she understands quite a bit.
Yep.
Now, I didn't even tell Bradley Jane really or Alex that she had Down syndrome for a long time because I wanted her to know that she's Alex.
Yep. Yep.
And I didn't know the right thing to do in that situation. Like, do you tell them that they're different in some way or do you not say anything? And so,
I would say you did it the right way. We did it the same. We never said anything.
yeah, I didn't. We waited until she was about 11. And what I
Yeah.
noticed was the world was going to tell her.
Yeah.
When she started noticing that things were different, she didn't really ask necessarily, but I could tell that I could just tell.
Yeah.
So I set her down one night, she and I, and we were getting ready for bed, and I just talked about how I had a secret that I've been waiting to tell her until she was old enough, and that God has angels, and sometimes He puts them on earth to help
Yep.
people, and that she was an angel on earth, and
Yep.
that her job was to spread joy and love, and not all angels have wings, and so they had to give her a name, or call her something other than an angel. So God gave it a name. It's something called Down syndrome.
Yep.
And when you see other people that have Down syndrome like you, those are other angels on earth, and they have jobs just like you do. And she went with it. And so she'll see another person with Down syndrome now and she'll say,
It's
"Mom,
another
that
angel.
girl looks like me," or,
Yeah.
whatever. And
Yeah. We my little story or background, I prayed for patience, for about 4 years from the time I got married. From 2013 for 4 years, I prayed for patience, and then God gave me Isaiah, and
that's right.
I was like, "That's not exactly what I was."
It wasn't what you had planned, right?
No,
Not what you meant.
no, but, I do. I think there are things that I know there are. There's things that they can teach you that, I mean, there's no other, I'm not saying a normal child doesn't bring joy or stuff like that, but there's like a deep, like a deeper level that you can't experience unless you're around that and learning all the things that come along with it, the patience, like seeing someone for who they truly are. Those kids will never know racism. They'll never know how to judge or stereotype or poverty level. They're not going to care about or economic status of someone else. And so, like, all of that stuff, it's like, I would love to have that, a little bit of that in me,
We should all be more like them in so many
Yeah.
ways.
Yeah. So I like the Angels. I like the Angels. If I do another podcast, it'll be Super Angels or something. I like that's a good one. And so after you found out and the anger went away or got better, I guess. What were the next steps? Was there a special baby doctor for Down syndrome children, or what? How soon did you start therapy and all of that? Those next steps.
Okay. So once we went to maternal fetal medicine, we were there until she was born. Not like in the hospital with them, but that was our doctor until she was born. So regular delivery, but they had told me that she was going to be in the NICU unit because she was going to have surgery the day of or the day after she was born for that duodenal atresia, which was that blockage I told you about.
Yeah.
So, she was born March 11th, and then on March 12th, she had surgery for that, and then we were in the NICU unit for 11 days, and then we were able to come home. The goal was she did have a heart condition. She had something called a VSD, and so basically it was like her body was running a marathon all the time, even though she wasn't. So some people, my understanding is some babies almost turn blue when they have this condition. Sometimes we did not have that. She was just pink as could be and beautiful.
Yeah.
But when she would eat, she would sweat. So it was like she was
Her heart
working.
rate her
Mhm,
heart rate was that it was going
mhm,
that high?
mhm. So the goal was to get her to 10 pounds before they do the surgery because that's when the risk stop or doesn't stop. Sorry, the risk lowers
Yep.
drastically. But we could only get her to 9 pounds. So at 7 months, she only weighed 9 pounds, which a lot of babies are born at 9 pounds.
Yeah.
So they decided to go ahead and do it. So October of 2010, at 7 months old, she had open heart surgery.
My goodness. And that took, how long was that?
Five
I'm
hours.
sure it felt like forever for you, but
It was 5 hours, and it's a feeling I cannot describe to you. You think that, not that you think you're ready, right? But when a nurse comes out and says, "Okay,
taking your
um,
baby away.
she's on the bypass machine," like
Yeah.
her heart's not beating. She's on the back. We've stopped it. Like
Yep.
we've cut her chest open. We've slowed her heart down as slow as we possibly can. We're operating. And then it started to hit me. What if the power goes out in the hospital?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, all these things I hadn't really thought to ask or, whatnot. And God pulled her through, and nothing prepares you to see your baby on a breathing machine and just everything like we saw. But we were home 4 days later. The
Wow.
next day, we were on Tylenol and Motrin, alternating. I mean, she just is amazing. And these kids, her pain tolerance is so different than mine or yours or anyone
Yep.
else. I mean, you don't know that she's even sick until she's like super sick,
It's
and then you
crazy.
have
It's
other
same with
kids that are,
yeah.
they're
It's same with Isaiah. Like
really.
it's yes, almost exact and pain tolerance. I mean, if he gets hit or kicked or falls or hits his head and he has a giant goose egg, it's like it didn't even no big deal.
That's right.
He had the flu once. We didn't even know it. We just went for like a doctor like a doctor visit and they checked him for it and he's like, "Yeah, he's got the flu." I was like, "What?" Like did had no clue. But yeah, same thing.
Hmm.
Was was the surgery, I guess, complete success then?
It was. So what they do now is we see cardiology every 2 years now because as she grows, they just want to make sure there's still what they consider a mild leak once they fixed it, but it's like we're okay. But they do want to watch that to make sure it doesn't go to the moderate category or obviously, severe or anything like that. They don't expect it to, but it can happen. My understanding is during like the teenage years when you're really growing.
Yeah.
So we do see cardiology every 2 years.
Any more surgeries or is that the only one?
She has had hernia surgery because that was a hernia was created when they fixed the duodenal atresia. So we've had that done. We've had knee surgery just last year. We've been put to sleep for dental work. We've had tonsils and adenoids removed. I mean, at 14, I think she's been put to sleep 7 or 8 times.
Goodness.
I know.
And so as far as not actual physical help, but like speech, is there speech do they do speech therapy and behavioral and occupational in the Down syndrome world, same as they do autism world, or a mixture of the, what type of resources does she have continually or regularly, I guess?
Right. So the week we came home from the hospital after she was born, we started something called First Steps.
Yep,
And
that's what we use.
so we loved First Steps. I don't
Yep,
know what experience you had with it, but
very good.
we did too. So they come to your house and we had developmental interventionist, physical therapist, speech therapist, and OT. So we had 4 therapies for the first 3 years of her life. And then when she went into the school system, we found that things are a lot different. First Steps really spoiled us, I feel like,
Yep,
because even if she was at the sitter, I would come home and there would be a sheet of paper that said, "This is everything we worked on."
yep,
And I would know what we worked on. So I would know what to work on until the next week.
yep.
I don't know what experience you've had, but if I speak freely, you don't get that once you get into the school system. And I have to
No,
really. Um,
You have to really stay on the educators and the teachers, because to their credit too, there's not some parents out there don't wanna get involved and don't really care as much, which is sad, and,
mhm.
I've seen that side, but yes, we have to actively and continually ask, "How'd Isaiah do? What did he do today? What was his performance like?" We wanna talk about it with him. We want homework. We wanna work with him, give us all the
So
stuff.
familiar, yes.
Yeah, give us, because kids now, at least here, they don't get homework. They don't send them home homework, and we're like, "No, tell us something. Write us a note. Tell us work on our ABCs or something," because we're begging for more. But yes, we was in the same boat as well.
Yeah. Once we started a communication book back and forth with each teacher. So the teacher would write anything that we needed to work on, or if they had an issue with A, B, or C, and then we could, write back and say, we were able to speak to her about this today, and this and that. And I think, to be honest with you, people really take for granted kids being able to come home and tell you about their day.
Yes. Yeah.
I
Yep.
mean, they have no idea, and I didn't realize it really until Bradley Jane. And
Yep.
then she would come home and tell me about her day, and I'm like, "Ah, don't take that for
Yeah.
granted."
I cried the first time I heard Larry Grace tell me about her daycare one time, and it was because it made me sad, but also happy. But it was sad because I was like that's what I've been asking for years from Isaiah, and his response may be he played. Sometimes he'll say he played or
Uh-huh.
uh, learned. You know, I learned. But other than that, you have no clue what he did. So
Mhm.
getting those responses from the teacher, and then we'll follow up with him. Like, hey, did you play basketball today? Did you go to the library?
Yes.
Did you
You
have
have to know the right questions to
yes,
ask.
yes. Did you have pajama day? Was your teacher out? Did you have those things? But yeah, same situation or very similar.
Yes. Well, it sounds like you're getting good feedback from the teachers, in that regard, because it really does take a village.
Yeah.
And, I appreciate the teachers. I appreciate all teachers, but teachers that are in the special education department have a special place in my heart because they don't have one curriculum that
No,
they're teaching in a few different ways. They have 47 different curriculums in 47 different ways. I mean, and that's
they
by choice.
yeah, they was given something, like God put something in them that I don't have. I don't have the patience for it still, but yeah, you have to have that knack or that itch, that desire, because the reward isn't always going to be there.
Right.
A lot of times it's going to be going the other way. Things are going to be bad sometimes more often than they are good.
Mhm.
But ours, we was very lucky with the 2 that we've had. Isaiah still asks for his teacher that he had up until 1st grade, still continually asks for, but very, very blessed as far as the therapist that was in the school and his teachers both, getting them on the same page and then meeting with them regularly. That that was huge, but they sadly, again, like, some of them were shocked that we were wanting to be that involved with our
Uh-huh.
kid, you know?
I know. They tell me all the time their parents don't even show up to IEP meetings.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, could you imagine?
I couldn't, no.
Me
Uh,
neither.
I'm the other way. I'm probably bothering them too much, asking them too many questions.
Me too. They put us at the very last of the day because they know that we're going to take up about 2 hours of their time.
Yeah,
But I just want to make sure that, I understand what we're doing. And, I'll be honest with you, there have been times where I've had to swallow my pride. I didn't think I had that anymore.
yeah,
But I would say I really pushed for mainstream, and she was in mainstream classes until about third or fourth grade. And then we started having behavioral issues. And, she would just wad a paper up and throw it on the floor. And I would say, well, you know what? I probably would be too frustrated too if
yep,
I didn't understand what you were talking about.
yep,
And then I couldn't necessarily tell you
yep,
that I didn't understand what you were talking about.
yep,
So then we kind of had a, you know, come to Jesus meeting about Amberly. You're going to have to agree, and we're going to have to agree together what the best case scenario is for her.
Yep.
And
We just went through that last year in first grade, had the same thing. Started having some behavioral issues, which wasn't normal for Isaiah,
uh-huh.
and he was spending the majority of the time in the normal classroom. And once we moved him over, it was like complete 180-degree turn,
That's great.
like night and day.
That's great.
Are her struggles, are they more on the verbal side, expressing herself? Is that when she does get frustrated, or what are the things that her normal struggles that she's someone from the outside looking in would have no clue, would even think about?
Fine motor is a struggle. So I hope leggings stay in style for the next
You hope
100
what?
years.
Oh, leggings.
Leggings,
Leggings.
where
Okay,
you just,
gotcha.
sorry,
Yeah,
leggings, not
gotcha.
leggings.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm from Kentucky too. I should have known that.
You shouldn't know
Yeah.
that. I'm sorry. Leggings.
Leggings. Gotcha. Gotcha.
Yes, because they just pull right on and off. But
Yeah.
like zipping your, I almost said britches, but I
No,
stopped
that's
myself.
fine. I know what those are.
You know what those are too.
Yeah.
Okay. um, and buttoning your pants and zipping your jacket and things like that are a struggle, but she's come a long way. Writing has been difficult, but that too. I mean, did you know that if your core is not strong, your handwriting will
Core,
suffer?
core is where everything's at.
Who knew? I mean, well,
Yeah.
you probably know because you're a personal trainer,
I
but
didn't know that, but yeah.
I did not know that, the two were connected. And
Yeah.
so it helps with speech too. So they would say, we need to, really work on core strength because this is this. And I was like, I don't know about all this, but okay. And then sure enough, you would see things, come together. So fine motor is a struggle. Gross motor is also somewhat of a struggle. And then her speech, we're pretty blessed in that world when it comes to if you look at it, step back and look at Down syndrome from a distance.
Right.
I think it was a blessing when she had heart surgery. So she didn't walk until she was 26 months. So over 2 years old before she
Yeah.
was walking. And during those 26 months, I mean, at 7 months, she was still 9 pounds. So she wasn't moving around a lot. So we had extra time where she couldn't get away to work on
To work on other stuff.
words and sign language. We did sign language for a while because we weren't sure what her vocabulary or what her speech was going to be like,
Yeah.
And so we ended up doing the same thing with Bradley Jane because that helped bridge the gap between between fits because, she could tell me that
Yeah.
she, wanted watermelon or,
Yeah.
this or that. And so that did help bridge the gap. I would say right now our main struggle at 14 would be a couple things. One is vocabulary that we use that's in between something to describe. So if you were to say, I'm really tired, give me just a second, I'll be right there.
Yeah.
She's like, nope, not now. Like, there's no softness in between. It's very black and white. And
Yeah.
I don't think she means it as mean as sometimes it
Yeah.
can come off.
In her head, she's just trying to tell you what she means.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
sometimes, you know what? That's a blessing because
Yeah.
I'm not guessing. I
Yeah.
know exactly where you stand. And sometimes I think, you know what? I feel the same way.
Yeah.
I just can't get away with saying that.
Yeah.
So I'll tell her, okay, babe, I understand what you're saying, but we can't really say that. So maybe we could say it this way.
Right.
So I'm trying to work on that. But when you're a 14-year-old girl, I mean, you have pretty strong feelings about how you think or
Yeah.
whatnot, and so I think that's one of the main things that we struggle with. It is getting better, but
Is she fluent in sign language still, or is that something y'all gave up
no,
on earlier? No.
no.
Okay.
As soon when she started talking, she would sign a little bit in the beginning and then dropped it over time. And we weren't fluent necessarily anyway. We watched a show called Signing Times with Rachel.
Yeah.
She's fabulous. And she does a lot of things by song. And her daughter is deaf. And so just, her daughter's in a lot of the videos and things like that.
Yeah.
And I mean, heck, we caught ourselves watching it, when Alex was asleep. We didn't realize we were
Yeah.
doing it. But it was more just to learn really those kind of key terms,
Right.
at the stage that she was in. And then, like I said, we were fortunate because instead of running around and you having to chase them to sit down to get them to do something, she was there and we were able to sit and work on that.
Gotcha. And so this, she attends normal school. I mean, goes to the middle school or high school, middle school.
She does.
I'm
She's in eighth grade this year.
okay, 8th grade, and all day in a separate classroom, or what's her day structure? I guess kind of like.
So she is in an FMD room. There are 9 students. She's the only girl. That's just because the lineup of, how that is. Now, there is a female
Yeah.
teacher. There's 2 teachers in there. And then if you were to ask her about her day now, which is completely different than it was, years ago, now she'll
Yeah.
tell you. Usually she'll tell me that she had gym and she had lunch.
That's good.
And then, but this year they have more of like they do a schedule every day. So
Yeah.
now she'll come home and I'll say, "What did you do today? Tell me your schedule." And she'll say, "Gym, English, life skills, social skills, this, that, get ready and go home."
It's all in the exact order of everything, and that's probably exactly how it went.
It probably is exactly how it went. You're exactly right. I mean,
Yeah.
the child has a memory. I have to say, "Alex, where's my keys?"
Yeah.
And she'll go, "They're in there on the kitchen counter by the refrigerator."
Yeah.
And
That's awesome.
I wish I had that. I mean,
Yeah.
and names. We get in the car and I have to say, "Who was that?" And she knows
Knows
the
exactly.
person's name.
Yeah. See, I mean, when I was in high school or college, even, we only had a few, I guess, kids that were special needs or whatever, but everybody always said gifted, and I never understood what that word meant until actually having one. Like, no, they do have special gifts to them that we don't have, and I always thought, oh, they're saying gifted to make it not sound bad or disabled or whatever, or
Mhm.
disability, but I'm like, no, they do really have it's now you have to discover that gift as a parent and harness it and help it along. But yeah, that's why the reason name of the podcast superheroes, they do have a special thing about them that it's a gift.
It is a gift. I like to tell people that God gave me Alex for my special needs. I didn't realize
That's a good
that
way to phrase it. Yeah.
I didn't know that I needed so many hugs and I love
Yes.
yous and how much I would enjoy that we get to celebrate so many small milestones
Yeah.
that people don't see.
I just
That
look right past them.
I know, and
Yeah.
I just wanna say, like, I find myself I mean, I tell other kids, "Great job," and they probably think, "Why in the world would you say great job about that?"
Yeah.
But I can't help it, like, I
Yeah.
just that's what you do, you just don't take it for granted.
You don't. Isaiah's doing gymnastics now and
Oh,
just
yeah.
just doing some of the basic, and it's not that he's, like, incapable of doing them, but understanding the direction and what to do, that's a trouble for him to stay on task and focused. That part is what he struggles with, but I'm out there with him. I go out and help him and the instructor, but I'm looking at the bleachers where the parents are, watching their kids. They're just waiting for their kids to get done, and they're all, looking at their phones, and their kids are out there doing gymnastics, right in front of them, and I'm going, like, y'all not see what's going on? Because I'm just out there loving it that Isaiah just did a cartwheel or a silly somersault across the floor, and they're just, come on, it's 5:30, time to go, that kind of just picking them up for, normal gymnastics. But to me, it's like we're out there saving the world right now.
I hear you.
Does she enjoy sports or any extracurricular activities?
She does. She doesn't like to do them for long periods of time, I would say, because it's difficult.
Yeah.
But she did gymnastics for a while when she was younger. She has cheered at middle school. She did Special Olympics just this past year,
Wow.
softball Special Olympics, which, if you haven't seen that,
I've
I was
not.
okay. So I completely underestimated it. I thought she was going to be one of the older kids, and I thought level-wise, we're good, right?
There's some
We show up,
all-stars.
whoa, we were the youngest person on the group, and these guys and a few of the girls can flat kill the ball. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, put
Yeah.
her way far away. I don't want her anywhere near where they're hitting the ball." But
Yeah.
it's so good for her, it's so good for us because, you have one that's plays to win. Like,
Yeah.
we're out there and we're out there to win.
It's win or nothing.
It Right. You don't go
Yeah.
to have fun. You go to
Yeah.
win, and you have fun when you win. Like,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
then you have the other one who we go, those kids and adults could care less what the end of that score was.
That's
They are,
awesome.
I mean, and that coach, he did a fabulous job. He tells them all, great job. So and so did this. So and so, hit the ball this time, and so did this. And the parents cheer for each other's kids. It's a different environment. We live in a world where there's no comparison.
Yeah.
It's not a try to keep up with the Joneses. It's not a I'm better than you, or I'm going to outwork you to be better than you. It's very different, and it's a blessing of a world to be in.
Yeah, and it's much different than a normal, sporting event where, I mean, the parents get so involved and making sure they're hoping their kid wins or even trying to live vicariously through their kid or whatever. Yes, there is no pressure to win, and not saying winning isn't great, but you're just there to enjoy watching it, like, without any filter.
No, that's right. And I think that God taught me, I mean, I was raised that the score on the scoreboard, I mean, that's how we all were, right? You wanted to
Yeah,
win.
yeah,
And I think that now it's not that way. And I hear some parents that are so cruel, what I feel like is cruel to their kids, the way they get on them in
yeah,
a certain way. And it takes everything I have to not turn around and say, you ought to be thankful that your kid can do this.
yeah,
When I'm here cheering on my daughter, and she's the water girl.
yeah,
Like, and maybe one day it'll come out of my mouth. I don't
yeah.
know. But
It's they don't have that perspective.
no, and we probably wouldn't have either.
Yeah,
I mean, she really has changed me in a lot of ways for the better. And I mean, I'm still have a long way to go. I still don't know what I'm doing as a parent. I don't think any of us
yeah,
really
nobody
do.
does.
We're doing the best we can, but I think as a person, I think that giving me Alex was a way that God showed me, it's not your plan, Amberly, it's mine,
Yep,
and you need to depend on me more,
yep,
and you're going to be blessed every day of your life, and you're going to realize it.
yep,
And so it's a blessing.
yep. Is there want to go back and do more? She gonna be special needs next year, like special, Olympics next year? Does she wanna keep doing it?
She does want to do it. She says she wants to do that, and she also says she wants to play basketball. So
So you are getting your I was gonna say, so you are getting your sports girl.
I am getting my sports girl. You're
Yeah,
exactly right. Yep, I've got two of them and completely different opposite. Actually, all four kids. I mean, they're involved in. It seems like every sport there is, and there's a lot of divide and conquer, and
yeah.
suppers on the stove or in the crock pot, or run and go and do. But
Do you find, like, exposing her and getting her out and I wanna say, like, treating her just as a normal kid, but getting her out and involved and having her, doing things that has to help her, right? Has to help her sleep better, has to help her because Isaiah, if he stays in the house too long, he goes stir crazy. So we're always trying to get him out, staying active, doing, physical things, and just, again, just treating him like a normal child.
no, that's right. And I think it's important for them on so many levels to do that. And right now we're trying to cultivate more relationships with kids, her age. And
Yeah,
I found that to be difficult just because kids her age now are starting to have boyfriends when they're running and going and doing. And so I haven't really found a good fit for that yet, but it is something I'm working on. So if there's
yeah,
anybody that listens that's within an hour where we live that, you know, has a daughter that's similar in age and, likes to dance and sing and
yeah.
play sports and shop.
I was telling Kim, the lady who we had on the first interview, me and her was talking about something similar. One of the biggest struggles it seems like is finding that next thing for your kid, like to keep them active and keep them going, to find that next I won't say thing to entertain them, but thing to just because if they're left to their own devices, they're not gonna come up with that next thing and to keep them progressing. And usually the weight of it falls on your shoulders. There's resources and places out there that'll help you, but you've got to go out and find it. You got to go find the next summer camp for special needs. You've got to find the next best therapy place for speech. You got to find the next it's winter time. Okay, we just can't sit in the house and play on the
You're
tablet.
right.
Where the closest play place that we can go, and it seems like you're always just searching for that next. To me, that's like the constant struggle, just that searching for what's next. For him.
No, I would agree with that. And I think that, where we live, there's not necessarily things that I mean, I've almost thought about if somebody had a workout class, where you could
Yeah,
go and, work on different things. I mean, it could be as simple as, running and jumping jacks and push ups and this and that. And it's 30 minutes long and they do it 3 days a week or something set to music. The pound workouts. Some friends of mine, do that. And when we go to that, she really likes that. It's with drumsticks. So it's upbeat and music and that's, something good. But I can certainly relate to trying to find something to keep them going.
yeah,
It can be a
and it's
challenge.
it's so many parents struggle with the same. At least the ones I've talked to struggle with the same scenario, and it's like nobody's going to start something like that unless it's usually the parent. It's their idea, and then they end up having to start that group or that community to get something like that going because no one else wants to take that responsibility, or at least what I found.
Well, I think a lot of people don't know,
Yeah,
so if they don't live in this world, they're likely scared of this world.
yeah,
Because they don't know the expectations and the challenges, and so they just kind of shy away from it, maybe.
yep.
But
I'm sure maybe somebody listening got a couple ideas or some resources, so hopefully so.
that would be great. I'd love to hear them.
Yep. And so got a couple questions I'm going to close with, but one I like to ask everybody. I always like to end on a good note. What one thing or a couple things has AP done, been a part of, progressed through something in the last few weeks that she just, something to brag on her? What's some good vibrations you can send out, something that she's done or succeeded at recently?
Hmm. Let's see. She's definitely getting involved more socially when it comes to going places. So we went to a few middle school volleyball games and she'll say, "Hey, can I go say hi to so and so? Can I go say hi to so and so?" And you know,
Nice.
that really is kudos to her and to her. I can see her confidence
Yeah,
coming along with that. And so I'm very proud of her for stepping out and, doing those sort of things. And we're learning to, okay, you go order at the concession stand. Here's $5 and they're going to give you change, but you tell them you want popcorn.
nice.
And,
And she does it?
she's reluctantly, but she does it. And then she's so proud of herself
Yeah,
after. So I told people her whole life is I always do the push and praise method. I will push you and I will wipe tears and I will because I believe in you.
yeah.
But I will be your number one fan and I will praise you day in and day out.
I believe that. That's very you can hear that just in the tone of your voice. So without you even saying that, you can tell that's the way you feel about her.
Oh, thank you. She's my hero.
Is there anything you would have done differently going back, knowing what you know now? Would you have started something earlier, delayed something, reacted differently to a scenario, or everything you've done is the reason where you're at now?
If I knew when I found out what I know now, I wouldn't be heartbroken.
Yeah,
But I remember those feelings very vividly. And I tell other people that maybe have just gotten the diagnosis that all those feelings are okay. Like you're allowed to have those feelings.
yeah,
And nobody really told me that. They just wanted to say it's going to be okay or I'm sorry. So
yeah,
there's were the two kind of the it's going to be okay felt empty and the I'm sorry was I didn't want anybody to feel sorry for me. So
yeah.
um but I do try to tell people it's okay to feel that way and just give it time and I think it takes a couple of weeks. I don't know about you. when you received the diagnosis, how you guys took it and
Yeah.
how long it took for you to process that.
Yeah, ours was more of like a gradual slow burn instead of like just doctor saying, "Hey, this is what's up." And there's still times that I agree with it. If I'm being honest, there are still times that I struggle with it just because, shooting a gun with your dad or teaching him how to work out certain things that probably aren't going to happen. Once in a while I'll think about those and it'll kind of hit me, or, is he ever going to get married? Is he ever gonna make love to a woman? Is he ever gonna get his driver's license? Like all those, sometimes those things will come up and I'll grieve a little bit. But we knew something was different early on. And so once the diagnosis actually came, we was just like, it's what we was kind of expecting. So what's our next steps? Where's our next therapies? Where now always looking for the resources. But me and my wife both dealt with it separately and differently. When it first came, I just took a drive in my truck and actually wrote a poem. So I'm a writer, but I wrote a poem and kind of put it down on paper and cried over that one good time. And that was like my big, I guess you should say, my big moment that I dealt with it. I took a drive and then I came back home and I wrote a poem about it. And I really had a real good cry then. That was the, I guess, epitome of it. But there are times still throughout Isaiah's life that something will come up and it'll kind of hit you and make you sad a little bit.
And I think that's totally normal. I mean, Alex is 14, and I still have those from time to time. The most recent one I would say was about 2 years ago, maybe a year ago now. Mariah started talking about driving and getting a car.
Yeah.
And they started making plans about, what kind of car do you want and all of this. And I went for, I don't know, a week or two, and I couldn't sleep over it. And one night I went out front and just lost it. I mean, just bawled my eyes out. And poor Isaiah came out and said, "Is everything okay? What's going on?" And I'm like, "I'm angry. I'm fighting mad
Yeah.
at the situation, and it's not fair, And so those feelings still come about, And
Yep.
sometimes you just got to get all that out, and then realize that, she's 14 and I'm still getting hugs and kisses and a lot of 14-year-olds. I mean, when she's 21, I hope she still does that and she's not like, "Peace out, see you, mom.
Yeah. Yeah.
The
You'll be
world
missing
is
them
better
then.
than you are."
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
There are, Leanne, my wife, she says there are things in this world that nothing can take away other than a hug from Isaiah.
that's so
Not your
true.
Isaiah, not your fiance Isaiah,
Yeah.
Isaiah, our son. But yeah, she said there's like, things that she deals with, and like sometimes that prayer doesn't get answered or whatever. And but a hug from Isaiah takes that, is the only thing in the world that will take whatever that is on her mind away.
It can heal anything.
Yeah. You must have read my notes here because you answered or started to answer what my last question was going to be. But for the parent out there, the mother out there that is just now finding out or suspects something's up or has just started walking down this path of finding out this official diagnosis, what words of wisdom, advice, would you give to that person that's just now bit, just gut check hit them?
Right. So I like to tell people that, again, anything you're feeling is okay. You'll feel guilty, you'll feel mad, you'll feel sad, you'll think it'll be okay, and then, it's all these emotions that you've never felt before in your life, and they're okay. I also invite people to who have the diagnosis and say, if you would like to be friends on Facebook, I like to
Yeah.
share our life as we go along to show that really our life is just like everybody else's in a
Yep.
lot of ways, and that she's such a blessing and not a burden. But if you can hearing it from somebody is one thing, but if you can see it, I
Yeah.
feel like that allows. If I had that when they offered and said, "Would you like to talk to someone who's been in your shoes?" I said no because I was mad and I didn't want to hear what they had to say. But
Yeah.
if somebody had said, "You can go on their Facebook page and see what their life is really like," that mama can do that from the bathtub while she's crying
Yeah.
and feeling all this. She can get on there and look and see, and then she's more than welcome to reach out to me, and I will be as completely honest as I possibly can. These kids are a blessing. I mean, they really are, and they teach you so many things. They'll teach you way more than you could ever teach them,
Yep.
and it'll make you appreciate so many things in life. So I would I welcome talking to anyone who's been through that. I've had one mom that I was able to reach out to, and I'm so thankful that our OBGYN. I gave her my number. We're part of Hope Story, and what that is OBGYNs in the area, if they are giving the diagnosis to a family, they give them a packet that goes along with it, and it's an introductory card to Alex and us.
Cool.
And so they're able to reach out and, talk to us if they need to. Another thing which I think you might be very interested in is the University of Louisville every year. They do kind of a parents get up and speak to their medical students. So there's about 200 students, and they'll have one or two parents come in and tell their story about their diagnosis and
Yeah.
how you would change that delivering that diagnosis. What would I like to have heard differently, or
That's awesome.
things along the way? But
No, that
yes,
I never
but
thought
I
of
mean that
that, but that would be
autism, you should jump all over that.
that would be hearing that from a parent telling a doctor that's a different perspective that they probably don't ever get.
No, they don't, because I mean, in the moment, they're breaking somebody's heart,
Yeah.
they're making them mad, and so hard telling what they hear
Yeah.
back almost every single time. And so if you could say, like, I wish they would have done this, or I wish they would have done that. Maybe we can give them an idea. But you know what? Also, if you are able to share your love for that child and how amazing they are, maybe they'll change their perspective too when they
Yep.
deliver the news to somebody. So
Yes. They need to hear it.
they do. They really do because they just don't know.
And so where can people find you at if they want to get in contact with you? You said Facebook is the best way, or
Facebook is the best way, or I mean, they can reach out to you and you can give them my number if they need anything. So that is
and what
completely fine. But
gotcha. And what upcoming events, or if someone did want to get involved and support AP, what is the best way? Do y'all donate money? What's the next fundraiser coming up?
we do. So every year we participate in the Down syndrome of Louisville. What they call it's a like a 5K run walk, but they do now called Steps to Independence. It used to be called the Buddy Walk. But anyhow, we have Team Alex, and we fundraise. Our big fundraiser each year is a golf scramble, and then all the money and proceeds made from that we will donate to the Down syndrome of Louisville via Team Alex. And so um,
Awesome.
our small town, I mean, we're just a one stoplight town in like Mayberry,
Yeah.
but we've been very blessed. 2 years, let's see, we've been doing this for 14, and 2 out of the last 3 years we've won. And so
Wow.
our team has donated, I want to say this year we're close to $19,000 raised so far that we're, donating to the Down syndrome of Louisville. And, that's giving back to the families and the resources, in the area to, allow them to have what they need and to be able to relate to other families and people that have been through the same things that they're going through, and to give them hope in a lot of ways. Like, I don't
Yeah.
really know what to do next. I'm stuck. So they have classes, they have all kinds of things for these kids and families along the way. So we try to help out all we can.
Well, good for Trimble County. I didn't know that y'all gotten actually second place from that. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, they have, and so it was really fun the way they, because of course they keep all the money. It's not for us or for anything
Yeah.
like that. But Alex got her face on a billboard,
That's
so
cool.
that's what the winner did. And so down by it's not called the Summit anymore, but it's called the Paddock. It's like a shopping center,
Yeah.
down at Louisville. And
Yep.
so when you go down there at Christmas time, they have billboards that are lit up on the walkway. And so it'll
Yeah.
say like Steps to Independence, and it'll have her picture on it, and Down syndrome of Louisville and giving. And then
That's
some of
cool.
the bigger billboards that, you see as you're driving down the interstate as well. So, for her, she thinks that's big stuff,
Yeah. She's famous.
She's famous.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always have to tell people I'm Alex's mom.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have the same problem, but,
Yeah.
like, you don't exist anymore.
At
You're just her
gymnastics,
mom.
yeah, gymnastics kids recognize Isaiah from school, and they'll come up and say, "Are you Isaiah's dad?"
Yeah.
I'll be like, "Yeah," and they're like, I know Isaiah. He's really cool, right?" And so
Oh,
it
that's awesome.
makes me feel good. He's got friends at school, and he may not know that, but they treat him good, and I can just tell from the way that Isaiah's cool. He's in my math class. He's in my whatever, So yeah,
That's
but
awesome.
it's always Are you Isaiah's dad? Yeah.
Yep.
Well, Amberly, thank you for being on the show. Any last words, any final words where people can find you? Amberly Yates is where you're at on Facebook.
I'm on Facebook just as Amberly Yates. I don't have my maiden name on there.
Gotcha.
I couldn't figure out how to do that. So, but
Instagram or no Instagram?
I do have Instagram, but I couldn't tell you what it is.
All right, so we'll just go with Facebook then.
Just go with Facebook. Yeah, I'm not real good at Instagram, but Facebook is the best way to reach me.
That's a good thing. But yeah, thank you for being on the show. I know you got a busy day ahead. Tell AP have a great rest of the week, and congrats on all of her successes. And you're very blessed. And you're a very good mother, and keep fighting the good fight.
Hey, thank you, and you as well.
Will do. Thank you, Amberly.
Thank you.
Thanks again, everybody, for tuning in to the Superhero Parent Pod. I appreciate your support so much. Words cannot describe how much it means to me. Send this show to everyone who could benefit from it, and thank you so much. Again, we are on Apple, Spotify, Audible, Amazon, wherever you find your podcast at, we should be there. And in the show notes, in the show description, the application to be on the show is embedded in that. So if you yourself would like to come on the show and tell your story, if you know someone who would benefit from being on the show or could positively impact others from being on the show, feel free to send that application to them as well. Remember, strength comes through transparency. Okay, we are all in this together. Do not struggle alone. Do not feel like you are isolated. That is the devil. What the devil wants us to do is to isolate us and make us feel weak, and you are not that. So, strength comes through transparency, and by being on the show and telling your story, you're not only strengthening yourself, but everyone else around you, people that you may never even come in contact with, could hear your story, and it may just brighten their day. All right, so that application is in the description and in the show notes. Feel free to send it to someone. Feel free to fill it out yourself if you feel like your child's story will benefit others. Someone from our team will reach out to you and let you know if you've been approved to be on the show or not. And again, thank you so much. Stay strong, stay healthy. Everybody keep moving in the right direction, and have a great rest of the day. God bless.